in my own life, in the past like 6, 12, 18 months, I've noticed as I've become way more conscious, something in me seems to surface and do it for me. Do whatever the thing is. For example, man, when I was younger, when I was like in my teens, I'd go to the dentist and I was just kind of awkward. I was kind of like, trying to be smooth, trying to be socially good, but I was just a bit like, I was always late by like 2 minutes, and I was like fucking pissed when they said they had to move my appointment because I was 2 minutes late. What the fuck? I think it was 1 minute late actually. Anyway, so I just felt like, when you're a young person, you got young person energy, it's just a bit awkward. You're not quite good at life yet. See, here's the real trick, man. Here's the real trip. Life makes you good at life. What I mean, so you could interpret that in numerous ways. What I really mean by that, man, is not doing life makes you good at life, although that's true. But what really makes you good at life is life itself, when it blesses you with consciousness and wisdom and grace and presence. And you see, life gives you that, dude. Listen, man, I've been doing the same thing I've been doing for the past couple of years, just at deeper levels. I'm really on this path of consciousness. But you know what? Life has just given me more stuff. Life has given me more ability, capacity, adeptness, potency. Even these fucking words, man. Where have I got them from? God gives you stuff as you become more conscious. And as a result, you will notice yourself getting better at life. It's not even that you get better at life. It's just you observe, oh, the thing within me that seems to run me, my spirit, that which animates my body, that's becoming more attuned to reality. And therefore, I notice, oh, I'm getting better at life. Cool. It's really cool, man. But you can't take credit for it. You can't, because it's not really you. But of course it is. But it's not, you know what I mean? ultimately, it is you, but it's just not who you think. It's not what you think, right? So how else does enlightenment make you better at life? Well, 2 things come to mind. And it's weird, man. I don't even do too much of these things, but I feel like mentioning them. So the first one is sports. The second one is sex. So sports, when I was really young, I used to play a lot of rugby. I grew up in London in the UK, and I was very, very good at rugby. I played for some of the best teams in the country. I really, really was quite talented. I didn't end up choosing to pursue it because I didn't really enjoy it, to be honest with you, man. Especially when I got into my teenage years, I sort of preferred to smoke weed and stuff, and sort of think about philosophy and watch deep videos and watch cool films. I'm into really good films as well, man. Listen to profound music. But yeah, man, I didn't really, I fell out of love with it. And I never really was in love with it to begin with. But I tell you what I was in love with, man, was the flow state that I would enter as a kid, as a child, when I would play rugby. I would be very focused and won. And I was one of the sharpest players, and one of the most fluid players on the pitch, always. I remember when, when if you ever done sort of like football or rugby or cricket or that kind of thing, and you have the dads who take you there, and often they kind of join in or they help or they have they are in goal or they're fucking moving a post around or whatever they're doing. In rugby, they often had these pads that they'd hold and you'd crash into them if it's contact, or even if it's tag. They stand in sometimes in the way and you kind of have to dodge them, that kind of thing. And yeah, man, I remember just always absolutely outdoing and outwitting and outsmarting and outmaneuvering these people, whether they were the dads, the coaches, other players. I was just fucking good. I'll tell you what, man, I'm really agile. Me? What am I? I'm agile. What a weird flex, dude. Anyway, man. So, so I noticed that I had this flow and I really enjoyed that flow and I didn't know how to describe that. I just knew that I was good at rugby. That's what I would call it, right? So anyway, this is what my early experiences of being and presence growing up in sports. And then I kind of in my teenage years, I needed to find myself. So I just messed around with a bunch of things like drugs, alcohol, girls, sex, relationships, just pornography, all this stuff, just to kind of like burn through karma, find out what I want and what I don't like, and all this stuff. And what I noticed was that I lost that connection to reality, which made me super effortless in sports. So, for example, I remember in secondary school, I actually was asked by my teacher. We were in PE class, and my teacher said, "Hey, Seb Camp here. I want you to do a demonstration." And it was for me to the ball would be thrown up, a football, be thrown up, and I control it with my chest, and then I bring it down onto my foot. And dude, I've always been pretty good at football, but not like the best in the class. And I didn't like play football for a team when I was young. I just played it, on the street or in the park, for fun. And so I was a bit fucking self-conscious. I was like, shit, man, you want me to do the demo? Fuck. Well, I did it, and I actually did really good, to be honest, man. But I noticed, like, if I was asked to do this with a rugby ball, where maybe, I don't know, you throw it, you kick it, and you catch it, or I don't know, Seb, show me. Let's do a demo, and you do the in and out cones where you dodge them. I want you to show everyone. Do a demo for us. I remember doing that as a kid, and I was fluid. I was not self-conscious. I was just in the moment, one with God. Now I can see, But when I was in my teenage years, and I was, my mind was foggy. I was watching a bunch of porn. I didn't know myself. I hadn't found myself. I wasn't grounded in life. I noticed that I was not good in myself. I was actually good at the thing, to be fair, just because of pure ability. I don't know, I just rose to the moment, I guess. But even then, man, I remember playing in matches and football matches, in those kind of early teenage years, and I wasn't even that good, man. I was okay. I don't think I was confident, and I had a mind that was self-conscious and a little bit insecure. I thought other people were better than me, So, yeah, I noticed that. But then, ready? I started to meditate. From about 15 years old, I started to meditate a lot more. And I started to slowly purify my life. I noticed that self-discipline was incredibly important for spirituality. I've always been spiritually inclined. And I noticed that, yeah, man, I was a lot better at the thing, sports, a lot of the time, when I was conscious. And I began to realize, oh my gosh, you can become conscious in life. You see, most people never know this. They never really wake up to the fact that you can become conscious. Isn't it interesting? How many people do you know? You're like, yeah, when I was younger, I wasn't conscious. And now, I realize I can be conscious. People don't value consciousness in our society, which is why you've got to, watch videos like this to hear perspectives like this and train your mind to contemplate consciousness and to see your own state of consciousness. And when you're in a low state, you've got to admit that. And when you're in a high state, you're like, dude, I'm in a high state. You've got to, be with it all. You've got to be with it all, man. Anyway, so I started to, get better at whatever I was doing. One thing I would do actually, man, is one of my first girlfriends when I was 16, I would meditate before she would come over. And I don't know, man, if we were to do stuff, have sex or whatever, I would just, I was pretty fucking nervous, man, the first few times I did that. And even though she was chill and everything, she was, what's great, man, in life is a girl who's chill. Get yourself a girl who's chill. This girl was chill. Bless her, man. Anyway, so I would meditate before she would come over, and I would just find myself I was a little bit still inwardly turned, a little bit self-conscious, but I was more connected to God and reality. Now, in retrospect, that's how I would frame it. Back then, I would have said something like, I was more aware. And as you know, the more aware you are, the more free you are, the more you're able to allow God to move through you and there to be a flow in your experience, right? So, yeah, man, I guess that covers the sex part as well, that I mentioned earlier, Sports, sex, what else though, man? What else does enlightenment help you get better at? So really, it's anything and everything. But I want to share with you why as well. So, on a technical level, what is happening when you are enlightened and you're doing life? Okay, so I put it this way. I wrote this down. All right. It's like this, man. You have the truth on your side. Why is this the case? When you become enlightened, you become the truth. You become reality. There's no friction. There's no resistance to pure being. And so pure being just does itself. It just is. And so you bring that truth to everything. And I tell you what, really, man, this is how you'll get it. Notice that when you don't live in accordance with how you know you should live, could live, to be conscious, live a disciplined life, live a clean life. There's more tension. There's more, really, there's the key word. There's more bullshit. There's more falsehood. There's more untruth. There's more ego. And we mean ego in a nuanced sense there. We almost mean egoic energy. Not like, because there's nothing wrong with the ego being there, of course. So what you want to notice then is when you have energy like this, or when you're not quite there energetically, you're not quite one with yourself, you want to notice that life doesn't let you be good at life. You don't get that green light. You don't get that cute girl to smile back at you. You don't have the momentum and the smoothness and the flow. However, when you work on yourself and raise your consciousness to the point where you stabilize in a somewhat enlightened state, it doesn't have to be crazy enlightened. Hell, man, even if you're just in a more conscious state, that's probably a better way of putting it. You can notice, things just go your way. And this is very much connected to the next point, which is when you're enlightened, or more enlightened, should we say, you need less from life. That is felt by everything. When you don't need as much, paradoxically, you receive more because there's more space to receive everything and for everything to flow in and out, right? And the reason this all happens, by the way, man, is because reality is so intelligent. One of the awakenings you can have is to realize, oh, right, I'm a stupid human, I'm a foolish human, and the universe is infinitely intelligent. And you don't have to use the word stupid, man. There's probably a bit of judgment in there. But, to see that you're a fool is wise. And to be wise is to do the work necessary to not need as much from life. The more conscious I become, sometimes, man, I just take a little photo of myself. And as I see the photo, I can see in my eyes that I don't need anything from life. Obviously, I need some stuff, man. But I don't need as much. I don't need what I thought I wanted when I was younger, man. I used to think I wanted to go to LA, and I used to think I would have wanted to be with a certain type of woman, and all this stuff. I don't need these things. You know why, man? They're fantasies. As you become more interested in enlightenment work and awakening, you let go of your fantasies. Why? Do you want to know the truth, man? The truth is, fantasy is the opposite of truth, and truth is enlightenment. So, essentially, the only way that it can work, the only way that you can find yourself in a more enlightened state, or to be more conscious, is you have to rid yourself of all the bullshit and all the fantasy, because so long as that's there, you're lying to yourself about something that you need in your mind. You don't need anything, really. Now, you can create and choose and select what you want in life. It's all made up, isn't it? But as you pursue truth, as you pursue consciousness and enlightenment, you could say you shake loose of this stuff that you don't really want. You kind of just thought you wanted it. And because of this, you're more open, you're more whole, and life just gives you so much more stuff because you just don't need it. The energy of what you are and who you are exudes and vibrates at the level of, yeah, man, sure. And therefore, you're just so receptive, and you're so open. You're so in a position to receive. That's what you're telling the universe. That's what you're telling reality. I am in a position to receive. So, man, we're gonna start wrapping up, but just before we do, it's absolutely true that enlightenment or raising your consciousness makes you better at life. You'll have a moment, man, probably where you get this. Because if I heard this a few years ago, I'd be like, yeah, it makes sense, right? But then when you experience it, and you could say you experience life through you, you experience, yeah, it's not even you, man, honestly. For you to be better at life, you just have more of the current of life flowing through you and less of your ego. Honestly, man, it takes care of itself. That's probably the ultimate reason. Because it just does itself. Because, oh yeah, I've got it. Because of course it does itself, because that's the only thing that's there. Your ego isn't really there. I mean, maybe it is, but it's not really there. You know what I mean? At the level of consciousness where enlightenment starts to be something you experience, your ego isn't there as much. That's what we could say, right? And from that place, can you really be better at life, man, you know? So yeah, if you care about being better at life, which is really convenient, to be honest, for survival, and it's, you know, you don't need to do it to look cool or anything. I probably would have done that a few years ago. It's just, you just do it for yourself, really. And I don't mean that in a selfish way. I mean that just like in a practical, but also poetic way, where you like, oh, I love life. I love getting better at life. I love being smooth and efficient and just flowing. You know, you fall in love with life and being good at life. And really, if you're bad at life after you're enlightened, I mean, that's actually completely possible, isn't it? Because someone who's very, very enlightened might not give a fuck. They might not care. So it depends how you see, you know, being good at life, really, man. But I see it in more of like a effortless, natural consciousness way of life. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's not how materially successful you are or how like effective you are. It's like, how attuned are you to reality? How one are you with yourself? And how does that inform what you do and what kind of results you get and what happens for you in life? That's the angle that I'm interested in. I don't really care about anything else, to be honest. Okay, man. We are going to wrap things up there now. If you have enjoyed this and you would like to work with me one-to-one, if you want some support, if you want some guidance, if you want some mentoring, I do offer that on a one-to-one basis. You can see the link in the description. You can book a free call with me if you're interested. All right, man. Take care, my friend. Lots of love. And as always, man,